Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. This is episode, I don't know, 16 maybe? That's a shot in the dark. And today, these are our tasks. We have to make this block here, which I turned my resistance way the hell down, didn't I? Like, way down. Like, worse than usual. There we go, that's better. We have to finish this block, we have to string up more power lines, and what I might want to start doing is working this way. So this block is probably next, and then these areas here. So those should be fairly simple and straightforward, but it means we'll actually have a connection between the industrial park and the ocean side. The other thing I need to do still, and I'll probably do this later when I actually have a place to run it, is expand the ocean and get some boats, or, you know, dredge out an area where I can put boats. So anyways, we all know the first important step here. By the way, we've got the music again, I'm sure you guys noticed by now. The first important step is driveways. So let's get some driveways in here. I haven't really picked anybody to have a garage, but my mind might change. Honestly, these guys probably deserve one. I don't think there was a master plan for this area. Like, there was nothing about it that made me go, oh, I should do this or that. I think I'm going to create a little road that runs sort of widthwise through it, not lengthwise, but this way, in the middle, because it's a long, long block. This area probably needs a gravel lot in the back instead of a driveway. So we'll put that in as well. There we go. And then this guy will have a driveway opposite this person's U driveway. I think, this is one of the only U driveways I've made. I just didn't make very many of them. They weren't all together that, you know, they're not particularly common at any rate. And even still, they're kind of a pain. I don't want to go through the aggravation of making a U driveway when it'll come out looking bad anyways. You know, I mean, think about it. It's gonna have these awful angles on it, guaranteed, just because this is a very short spline. So it's not really worth it to bother making that when you don't get anything good out of it. You get a minor, a minor option of some variety, but we already have tons of variety in this town. Although if there's anything I can say, it's not about particularly the variety. It's mostly about arranging things in such a way that there is a random assortment of elements. And so it doesn't have to be particularly, the elements themselves don't have to be particularly varied, but they do have to be randomized in location and in sets. So, I suppose you could still call that varied, but, you know, you can think of it differently. These are some of the tightest driveway entrances I've made that look particularly good. Someone, TJ pointed out to me, oh yeah, this is why, wait, is this, no, this is not the first block that I made. I thought it was for a second. We've got that one completely surrounded by now, I'm fairly certain. TJ pointed out that you're kind of screwed if you want to ride your bike from, oh, you know what? This needs to move over a little bit. From one side of one of the railroad crossings to another where they, you know, there's no sidewalk there, it was just removed. And I said, you know, I pointed out that this is the 1950s, this is pre-ADA, so there's no incentive to create the ramps or anything, so it would just suck in general to ride your bike through one of these towns. Where I grew up, we had sidewalks built by the WPA, the Works Progress Association, back in, you know, 1929, and, or, you know, a little bit later, but, you know, post-Depression. They all had stamps. I don't remember what the years actually were. I could go back there and check, probably. But, you know, the U.S. had this thing, if you're not familiar, called the Works Progress Association. It was a huge government-subsidized, you know, sort of construction program. It was all about building roads and building neighborhoods and building houses and, you know, all sorts of things, because it was at a point in time where you had, you know, huge amounts of unemployment due to the Great Depression, and you had the opportunity to turn that around by employing a huge number of people and creating these, you know, basically unskilled worker-style construction jobs where you could build anything and everything. And at the same time, you're creating housing and you're building up these communities which otherwise wouldn't get that kind of treatment. And you're building neighborhoods for these future families to live in once they get back on their feet due to this government job program. You know, this is the kind of thing where, you know, I don't like to get particularly political, but this is the kind of thing these days where, I don't know, it would be really nice to have. You know, and I can leave it at that. You know, I could probably talk for a very long time about the political climate and why that's very difficult these days, and why it was, you know, why it was possible back then, although I'm not really that much of a historian. I wouldn't be able to lend too much in the way of understanding on that side of it. But it's the kind of thing where you gotta have a lot of leverage because you're about to spend a lot of money. And, you know, people get antsy when you want to spend a lot of money, but at this point in time, the whole damn country is broke. And there was no other way, it seemed like, at least. I don't know whether there was or there wasn't. I'm not an economist either. I'm not an economist. But yeah, that was the attempt at curbing rising unemployment and, you know, stagflation and all this mess that was going on due to the Depression. And at the same time, you know, creating tons of jobs, building tons of stuff, improving the country's infrastructure. And like I said, I think that's something that we can all go for these days. Maybe not go for, because certainly the costs to pull up a program like that are incredibly high. And I could see people being very hesitant to spend that much money. But it gave us, well, first of all, it gave us the neighborhood that I grew up in, which, you know, where would the world be without yours truly? That's a joke. But on top of that, it just added so much. You know, you can see a lot of these kind of neighborhoods and a lot of neighborhoods with sidewalks and, you know, these basically what I'm trying to model. You know, this is very much a 1950s looking town. The way the houses are, the way the cars are, of course, but at the same time, the way the road network is gridded like this, it's not so much of the stamped out, you know, sort of curvy subdivision that you would expect out of the 50s. And that kind of thing is, you know, that kind of thing I really like, A, because I grew up with it, and B, because it looks better to me. I don't like these weird, you know, everything sort of wraps around together and bends this way and then that way, and then this house is on this side and there's a cul-de-sac here. I hate cul-de-sacs, for the record. I just hate dead ends in general, actually. I don't know why, it's just like something inside me tells me not to retrace my steps. So I hate dead ends because it always means I have to turn around and go back. You know, I mean that maybe in a metaphorical sense too, but I mostly mean in a driving sense. That's why, so I talked about on this past podcast, oh, speaking of which, there might not be one of these, no, there's not going to be one of these next week. In fact, there might be a couple videos missing in the next couple of weeks because, like I talked about on the podcast, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania with TJ, with Weibo, with Madison, and with Chris. Not Kerfoot. Chris Holden. of the 113 crew. So that is that. That's what's going on with me. And again, that means there may be a shortage in videos. Or there will be for sure, actually. But I'll be doing that out there. I might do another little, sort of mini live podcast thing that you guys will see at some point. Due to, just while we're out there. Just due to the way the podcast schedule ends up falling after what happened last podcast. It got pushed, so it screwed the schedule. And then, once that's all said and done with... Oh, you know what? This is a little bit wonky. Oh, whatever. I'll have to live with it. So yeah, I might make one of those. At the same time, I might not. But yeah, I'm gonna be out there with all them. And that's like that's my summer vacation. I don't remember where I was going with this. I was trying to talk about... Oh yeah, that's right. So, the journey that I'm taking to get out there. First of all, if you punch in Google Maps, my house, which is in Warwick, Rhode Island, to the place that we're staying, which is in the Fort Indiantown Gap in Pennsylvania. First thing it'll want to do, I think, is take you down 95, then take you up over the Tappan Zee Bridge through a portion of New Jersey, and then drop you out in Pennsylvania and have you go along like 78 or something to get you here. I saw that. Well, first of all, I hit my favorite button in all of Google Maps, and that is the Avoid Tolls button. First of all, I don't like paying tolls. It's not about the money, it's about, what's the line? It's not about the money, it's about making a statement or something like that. It's about sending a message. That's what it is. But I really it's just my little stick it to the man sort of thing. I know, as a civvy, and especially as a transpo, which is transpo/traffic engineer, which is what I'm becoming thanks to this job, which is not a bad thing, mind you. I quite like it. I understand how important tolls are for roads sometimes, and it's not like, oh, I'm not trying to dodge tolls for the sake of not spending the money. I'm trying to dodge tolls because toll roads are typically the most trafficked and thus the most boring sections of highway imaginable. I have ridden I-90 about a bajillion too many times, and I am yearning for other ways to get from Albany/Troy back home to Rhode Island. Now, while those ways aren't just going to appear out of the blue, it did give me the opportunity, so I hit that button, and it did give me the opportunity to change up my route a little bit. So, what I decided on, so I'm going to put a cut-through road right here. What I decided on was this route that takes me, first of all, does not touch Interstate 95. It doesn't go that way at all. I leave Rhode Island at about the midpoint on the west side of the state via Route 6, US Route 6. Now, it's a highway from... Route 6, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is a highway from basically nowhere to nowhere. It goes from Provincetown, which is at the tip of Cape Cod, to the middle of nowhere, Nevada, and ends unceremoniously. It used to go all the way to the West Coast, and it was at one point the longest highway in the United States, but it was cut back when California basically redesignated the roads that Route 6 travels on in the state of California, or had traveled on in the state of California. Then the designation of longest road in the United States fell to US Route 20, which ends on one end at Kenmore Square in Boston. I've been there. And ends at the other end in Newport, Oregon. That's right. about a mile from the ocean, so it's very close to the ocean on both ends, although Kenmore Square is a little bit farther back. Hold on, I need a gravel lot. Thank you. This gravel will do. So, yeah, little history lesson there. I like doing research on these highways, and I'll do that a lot if I have downtime at work, as well as on railroad grade and on things like that. Because so often, this is something you see as a traffic engineer, and I'm gonna get some boos and hisses from this one, of course, because I know so many people in the railroading community hate them. They were a lifeline for me ever since I was growing up, so they're a little bit less heinous in my book. But you get to see a lot of these developments that are in the making, and developments a lot of times will include a provision or include part of a rail trail in their design. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not one for tearing up railroads and throwing in bike paths in their place. But when you have an abandoned branch line that isn't going anywhere, or literally or metaphorically, as in it's not going to make any money anytime soon, nobody's going to come to its rescue, and on top of that, oh, you know what, I need there it is. And on top of that, it runs through an area that could be better served by, pedestrian paths. Then it's fair game in my book. Some rail trails, in my eyes, could have definitely been better reused, had they been given some time, whether it's waiting for the economy to bounce back or what, in these cases. Had they been given some time, they could have become useful railroads again, even if not for profitable freight service, but for subsidized commuter service or something of the like. And that's something you see in a lot of major cities that have sort of gotten rid of their internal tracks. You see these cities that are now hungering for transit and living with traffic jams and stuff like that, and it becomes a game of, well, how long do we live with this, or do we instead decide to go for subways and spend an obscene amount of money? Because once you reach that point, you have no option but to go underground, because everything above ground is going to be even more expensive. You've got, when I'm going to call it gentrification, but that's not necessarily what I mean. I'm just saying, when you get a lot of people in one place and you start building these high-rise buildings that are incredibly expensive per square foot, you get to the point where, even with eminent domain, you're never going to recoup the costs, or you can't justify the costs of buying up all that property and using it for whatever. Even if it may be for the good of the people, people aren't going to want to sell because it's prime real estate, and also because people don't want to sell. You have the NIMBYs that surround you, because they all have prime real estate, which is going to become devalued by running whatever next to it. Who likes to try and sleep in next to a train horn, 5 in the morning? The answer is nobody. Even if you like trains, I don't think I could. Well, maybe I could, because I sleep through everything like a friggin' brick. But I know it would not be the best to have a house next to the train track. If you're a heavy sleeper, you like trains, or any combination of the two, or at least, you have to be a heavy sleeper, then I can see it. Then I can see okay, you know what, you can get a house next to the tracks. But if you're gonna get a house next to the tracks and then complain about the noise, some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard comes out like that. It's like you looked around when you bought the house, right? You knew what you were signing up for, right? Now sometimes you hear about these things like, such and such people complaining about noise in such and such yard, blah blah blah, get over it, you bought a house next to it. And then it's like, oh, well, they're complaining about the noise because they don't oil the flange, they don't oil the flanges or brakes on their hump yard, and so it makes this horrible screeching out noise of like 100 decibels or something like that. you know, and then it's like, oh, well, now I can see, now that's justified. But most of the time it's like, you know, complaining about the noise of the train that's been there for longer than they've been there. Or, you know, the railroad tracks that have been there for longer than they've been alive, in some cases. You know, it's nonsensical. There's something I didn't get to talk about on the podcast, which was a couple, or not a couple, but a town, sorry. Why did I say a couple? I mean, there was that couple that wanted to go to all of the UK railroad stations. That's what you call a foamer, folks. I'm kidding. I'm one of them. Not one of the couple, but, you know, whatever. If you're here watching this video, it means you're probably one too. There's no use in denying it. Don't even try. So, additionally, what I was saying was something else to the effect of people complaining about the noise. Oh yes, so there was a town where the residents are complaining about the reactivation of this rail line that's coming, and one of the council spokespeople said, you know, like, basically, we hear your complaints, but what are we gonna do? And also, the railroad's been here longer than the town has. It was some town in South Dakota, I think. Yeah, it was in South Dakota. So I was gonna report on that. It's one of those silly things, you know, you see. And you know, like I said, I get that people have legitimate grievances, and I get that also sometimes they can be a major problem for the railroads because they can complain enough that people will have to listen. And I get that, and I get why people, you know, complain about the complainers. But at the same time, okay, that's not good. Oh, that's real not good. But at the same time, you know, whatever. Getting off track here. You can go at both sides of this issue until the cows come home, basically. There's no right or wrong answer, especially when it comes to these kind of things, especially when it comes to things involving people. You know, somebody may have done something stupid and bought themselves a house next to the train track, but at the same time, maybe, you know, maybe you can institute a quiet zone, or maybe you can, you know, try to cut a deal with the homeowner so that they won't be unhappy, and the railroad doesn't have to be, you know, doesn't have to be unhappy either, because the railroad's dealing with complaints is a pain in the butt. You could ignore them all day, but that's how you get in the papers, and that's how you get people to not like you. You know, you don't want bad PR. Now, I'm not saying always appease the homeowner, because that'd be silly. But, you know, find a middle ground is what I'm saying. Everyone needs to look for a middle ground. You know. And I don't get, and I understand, like, foamers complaining about quiet zones, I guess, because you want to hear the horn, oh my god. But, seriously, they are one of the best things that can happen to, they're seriously one of the best things that can happen to a railroad through a congested town. That's the wrong way again. And I get that as well. If you don't have properly guarded crossings, you need the horn in order to warn people to get out of the way. That is just, you know, that is far more important than the foamers thing. But the idea that, you know, it may be a little bit more cost prohibitive, but getting some gates up, you know, could make a lot of people very happy, and as well will be, you know, it'll just create better protection overall. You know, it's sort of the idea of, well, what if we spent all this money to make this safer for nothing? Well, it's still safer. And I get that, you know, once again, for railroads, even the little things can sometimes be prohibitively expensive, especially if you're not a Class 1. And these kind of things just are expensive. It's not like there's cheapo gates that you can get at the Dollar Tree. But I don't know. I like to try and search for something more reasonable in these issues, other than people saying, oh, you know, these people need to shut up, or, you know, the railroad needs to do whatever. You know, and sometimes the solution can just be, you know, basically, you bought this house here, deal with it. But at the same time, you know, one person who just bought a house there is likely not the only person that's being affected. If we're going to be completely honest here, you know. I'm sure you guys know what I mean, because you can have whole communities of people, and sometimes it only takes one person to, one complainer to fix a whole system, to fix a whole bunch of people's problems. Mostly because people won't complain about them, which is a good thing, you know. Suck it up and deal with it. It's definitely a solution to a lot of problems. But, you know, it's something to be said for, you know, spending a little or dealing with a little to improve the quality of life overall. And plus, you know, the added benefit of something like that happening, you know, somebody buys a house or, you know, has a house, complains to the railroad that the train horns are too much during the night or during the day or whatever, gets a quiet zone, immediately property values go up. You know, it makes those houses, those places more palatable, and property values going up generally means good things for a community as a whole. And yeah, you know, places getting prohibitively expensive to live is another issue entirely, but that is, like I just said, it's a horse of a different color. I don't know. Hope I don't get any backlash from that. Although, if you want to hear me, you know, go over different sides of an issue or something like that, that is something I'd be happy to do on the show. And in fact, later we have a question coming up that deals with something similar. It's like, I think it's the one major question we got. I think it might be the only comment we have. But, you know, whatever, I can understand. Maybe this, maybe the music has done good. Maybe it's made people sort of zone more and not get too bored. Here, I want a chain link fence. What is this block? Got it. We got a little park over there. That's right, we also need to do hedges. This guy's gonna have hedges, he's fancy enough. Where's my hedge spline? Over here. Using greenery as a barrier somehow is immediately so much nicer than anything else, really. Just because. So anyways, what was I saying? I think I got totally off track about the road trip thing. So I hit my favorite button. And it took me off the beaten path a little bit, across the Hudson River at Newburgh on, I think, Route 84. Yeah, that's right, because you go on Route 6, you end up down the way at Route 84, in, I think, like Hartford or something. Middle of Connecticut. It's not really middle of nowhere, Connecticut, because there's stuff there. So, it's just middle of Connecticut. Get on Route 84, Interstate 84, not Route 84. Subtle difference. And from there, you go and go and go until you get to Route... Yeah, this is Route 209. Go on 209, you go to 33 and down to 70... something. 78. And then that's it. And then you take that all the way to the last exit. Exit 1A, 14 Dean Town Gap. And you go up the road and there's a hotel. And I can't wait to drive this, and I might even have a more outlandish route for when we're coming back, because, like I said, I don't want to retrace my steps, and we've already done this trip, so now it's time to find a different one. Whoops. First of all, somebody's calling me. I need to hang up on that and not answer. What's the Ball Touchers? That is the Rocket League group. I don't recognize this one. You know what I want? I want some of the boxwood shrubs out front. Can we get them? Where'd I put one? There we go. Like, I wish I had like a hibiscus or something. That'd be kind of funny. Talk about little details, right? Another little detail to throw in would be like mailboxes, but nope, Not even gonna bother with the mailboxes. No female boxes either. Okay, maybe a couple. So we're gonna go with a row of trees here. Let's put some grass down at the very edge. This guy. This grass. Whoops, wrong thing. So, and additionally, I'm looking forward to planning all of my routes through Pennsylvania, although most of those are going to be fairly straightforward. When you're making shorter trips, your amount of options sort of dwindles pretty quickly. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it just means you get where you're trying to go. But the flip side is, when you're making really long trips, especially interesting ones, you'll generally run into kind of barriers that are not crossable in many locations. The one for this trip was, of course, the Hudson River, which you can only cross at a handful of places. You know, some in Manhattan, some, you know, one on the Tappan Zee Bridge, which is under reconstruction, as I'm sure most of you from the area know, but it's currently getting rebuilt. It's not getting rebuilt, it's a new bridge. They're replacing the old bridge with a brand new, pretty cool looking, admittedly, cable-stayed bridge. As opposed to the old, you know, old run-down truss. It's been there for God knows how long. Oh, I like this. Oh wow, that is super duper nice. Put it right along the side of the house there. Yet, did we put swings in this park? Should be right there, right? Yeah, there's some. We don't have like a pond in here. We'll have to assume that so much of this is on fill or something. Actually, that's not a bad assumption. If we said all of this was on fill, it would make a lot of sense. Of course, I don't know why the town of Olive would bother doing that when they've got so much land back here, so it's probably not actually on fill. But I don't know, saying that adds another layer of interesting stuff to the town. Maybe there's a whole bit of backstory as to why this area is on fill. Why they actually bothered to put fill here. I love these river birches. I'm gonna come out and say it. The regular birches are kind of old hat at this point. The thing is just always having to place a cluster of them because it's like birch trees. That's how it works, right? I don't know, I'm not a birchologist. I deal in maple and beech as well. Let's see if I can slip in a grass spline around the back. Oh, it is parallel or diagonal to our original place. Where is that grass? Yeah, I'll just grab it from there. I know, I should turn that thing around. There we go, that's a little bit better. It's not really great, but it's better. And I'll add some grass over here as well. Just ending at that yard there. I want a smaller tree to go in the front yard. One of these mountain maples will do. I'm recognizing trees now. I like how I look this way and my render distance is on so low, but you still get so much. That I like. I like it and hate it at the same time because it's so obnoxious, but... What is this? Is this... Oh, wrong kind of thing. Nope, not that. Where's my little My little grass line is around here somewhere. There it is. There we go. So nice, though. What do I want to put one out front here? There. See, it's a few little things that can make an area look really, really good. Basically, the idea is just add... I was about to say, just add as much stuff as there is in real life. That's not practical. Don't do that. What you can do, and what works really well, is just add enough to cover all the bases. You know, what do you have in real life? You have a lot of yards, you have yards, you have fences, you have driveways, and you have trees in most places. And in most places, I mean in New England. If you're out west, you might not have too many trees around your yard, but... What is this shingle oak? I don't think I have one of these. I'll use it. You know what? I need a shed for here. I haven't put down a shed in a while. The thing is, though, you should always try to do sort of lots that are next to one another, or close to. Oh, there we go. Because then when you say, oh, I haven't done X in a while, you probably haven't done it anywhere nearby. And that is key. Because if I say, oh, I haven't made a playground in a while, which is true, there's one right here, which is very close to where we are. So this side is pretty much done. I can call this done except for cars, but I'll come back to that at some point. I don't even feel like putting cars in all the driveways. That's an endeavor that I may complete at some point in the future. And I may actually send this off to BATLS or something. You know, as much as I like doing all the things myself, sometimes it's nice to have it. And I know I have people that are like, I'll ATLS it for you. So, it's awesome. So having friends is okay. In my book. Most of the time. Okay, computer. You need to chill. Oh, I'm running out of RAM. Crap. Let me make sure, A, that we're still synchronized, which we might not be. I think we lost a few seconds there. Oh, we definitely just lost a bunch more. Yeah, Audacity just froze completely. Okay, and then it jumped ahead, although I think... Not sure how much time we lost. Sync. Sync. I really need to close out some stuff. Give him... What's sucking up the most RAM? Aside from... I mean, the 50,000 crabs of Chrome is probably not helping. Let's see, can I get rid of anything right now? Yeah, you know what, I can get rid of these two. Like, that got rid of a whole window. I guess I haven't done this in long enough that it just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, did that help at all? Yeah, okay, that gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Where are we now? We're pretty close, actually. It's actually probably not good. I think we fell behind. Sync. Sync. Alright, that's around 40 minutes in. I hope we can find that. What I should do now is, like, totally change gears on what I was talking about so that it's very clear to me that, oh, is this pre-whatever I was talking about or post-whatever I was talking about? But I can't really think of anything else to talk about, so I guess we'll just sit here in silence for a while. Also, it's not silence because we have music. Damn it. And I'm not going to go and pause the music. Too risky, might break things. Might break the computer. Need some dirt. So, the hills that the railroads are supposed to run into aren't supposed to be too ridiculous. They aren't going to be like, you know, like, I almost call them like model railroad hills, like TV and ARR hills, you know, mountains that just sort of come out of nowhere. And so that means I've got to draw from reality a little bit, which means that I should probably be taking notes while I'm out there in coal country. It is supposed to be sort of like coal country in no insignificant way. In fact, one of the major railroads, the Zion and Skyline, is based off of the Norfolk and Western. Just in the way they do their power and stuff like that. I could go over all the different engines in the sort of, you know, in the Great Tolbrin Reskin project, asterisk. Whether or not I have models for them is another problem entirely, but I could totally go over all of them and sort of just briefly tell you guys about which engines which railroad has, etc., etc. I grabbed the driveway, not the fence. Nope, I grabbed the grass and not the fence. It's supposed to tell me what I'm mousing over, right? Alright, I grabbed the fence. So we're going to build a fence around this place. I was about to say, did autoplay just stop? Because I would have been sad. This is a good one. I think this played last time as well. Then again, there are only, you know, 20 songs to pick from or so, and I just threw it on shuffle, so there's no guarantee we won't be hearing the same songs repeatedly. Either way, you guys didn't come here to listen to the music, I would assume. Well, if you did, I'll be quiet so you can listen to the music. Just tell me. But seriously, if you want to listen to this music, go play Train Fever. Or just go on YouTube and look up Train Fever soundtrack. It's right there. That's how I got it. That's how I keep getting it. Another one of these over here. But I think what we really want is one of the darker trees. There we go. Maple dark one. You know, there was a tree in my neighborhood. The one I grew up in. When I say my neighborhood, it's pretty much always going to be the one I'm talking about. It's It's the Stadium neighborhood in Cranston, Rhode Island, obviously. Haven't lived anywhere outside of Rhode Island my whole life, except in college. But I don't really technically, I don't really count that, I guess, because I don't know. It's not really the same. It's not the same as living in a house, living in a dorm. It's the same in a lot of ways in that you're away. You know, your stuff is there, and it's the place you come home to every night. And yeah, sure, it's, you know, it's home as much as anything else could be, but I mean, like, family owned a house. So I guess I have to be that specific. That's not the tree I was expecting. I want one of the scrawny bastards. Where is it? The thick, scrawny bastards. No, not a broadleaf. Where are they? I put a bunch of them near the park. There's one. Park's on the other side of town, though. Park's far away now. Oh, it's live oaks. That's what I was thinking of. Swear to you, didn't look at the name for that. Just remembered it based on the look. Even though I had the name in that corner of the screen, that's not the corner of the screen I happen to be looking at. I was looking at where my mouse was. In fact, I've got my vision focused largely on this area here and not the menu. Alright, where's a big leaf tree? What about you? White oak. Put that one right on the... Oh, that isn't as big as I thought. Here's what I'll do. I'll just put a strip of sort of bushes and trees through the middle here. Come on. Oh, wait. The red oaks are such nice trees, though. I want to keep using them. I use them for the forest. I use them for basically every block at this point. And you guys can tell I'm in love with these red oak trees. Did I use them for the forest? Actually. Oh, you know what I haven't put down in a while? An American beech tree. I think that's what it was. Let's put another shingle oak down in the corner of this. And actually, let's extend the grass in this direction. This sounds like something that would be more on the Transport Fever soundtrack, if you ask me. Right, turn this around. Okay. Big leaf. Oh, this is an O2. That's okay. Still big enough. I want one of these shrub splines that we had before. See, these feel like two completely different blocks, even though they're not. You know, they're split by this line of trees, and now this line... Oh, no. They're split by the roadway. Yeah, sure, we'll do that. Why not? Connect the... Aw, don't connect the splines. Damn it. What is the maximum stretch count, anyways? Like, not even like, what is it, but like, numerically, what is it? Because I really hope we don't hit some sort of... That's something I've never even thought of worrying about in trains before, and it's something that's so present in other kinds of sandboxes most of the time. Especially where the sandbox is not the game, like... You know, not like Minecraft, but like Forge in Halo is the one I think about. There's an item limit you can hit there. You can max out the amount of stuff you can have. Whoops, wrong kind of tree. And I really, really hope that that cannot happen in trains. Although, you know, I've never heard of somebody reaching that limit, so I'm gonna assume that it can't. And I guarantee you people have made more detailed routes than Tolbrand. In fact, I am already certain of it, you know? This isn't some sort of groundbreaking step in a direction that no map maker has ever taken before. This is me making a thing. This is one dude with not that much time on his hands, making a map 2 hours at a time every week. Like, you can A, pretty easily run out of stamina, but you've got to pick it up because, you know, it's what you do. Or B, you know, easily be beaten out by people who are much better at Surveyor than you, first of all, and B, have way more time on their hands. I'm not trying to win any awards, I'm just making things. You know, this is, like I said, this is the idea that had been brewing in the back of my mind for over a year while working on the Iron Horseman route. And while, you know what, where's the nearest pool? It's right there. Screw it, we'll get one over here. Fill in this area with a pool. And while, you know, that just sort of festered and it didn't really grow, but it was the kind of thing where I would, whenever I wanted to make a new map, I'd go back and look at it. And, you know, I'd get people asking me for, hey, can you make me a map? And never did I decide, alright, it's time to give Tolbrand away. Because it wasn't worth it for me. I didn't want to give Tolbrand away. Tolbrand was my project that I never got to until the time finally came where it was like, you know what, the Horseman doesn't need any new scenery. Like, the series didn't need anything new immediately. Still doesn't. But on top of that, the route itself is, you know, it's not done, but it has most of what you need. You know, it's going to the point where the route is more of a set than a route, which is not really the way I wanted it to go, but it just sort of was necessitated. And as time goes on, I'm sure we'll add on to it in the way of, you know, almost set pieces more than route segments. Even though I'd like to add on to it for the route segments, there are a couple of segments that I think I'm going to have to make in the near future. You know, whenever the series comes back. And when that happens, yeah, there's going to be some stuff that I will have to make from scratch. There are some areas of the map that, you know, connections that could be made, / will be made, as well as, you know, changes to existing portions. I already had to do that when I filmed Ivan Be Good. Ivan Be Good. I decided to sort of do some extra detailing around Strasbourg, and I actually saved that as a different copy of the map. Every time I had to do a snow episode, it was saved as a different copy of the map. Those are the kinds of things that they sort of necessitate, you know, major changes to what the map looks like. You don't have a seasonal thing that you can just throw down, unfortunately. There are some of the ultra textures that can do that, and if I really wanted to, you know, it's one of the things where if I wanted to wind back the clock, and I thought about doing something like this for Tolbrand, but if I really wanted to wind back the clock so hard and change, you know, some major thing, if it was even possible to do, it would be to make a route like this, but with only ultra textures and seasonal trees and you know, the stuff like that, the stuff that takes, you know, significant amounts of effort and, you know, sometimes even significant compromise to get in, but is totally worth it in the end, because you've got a route where you can just change the date and everything is different. You've got a route where you can change the date and it's like looking at a different route. It's the coolest thing to me to have something that can do that. But like I said, that was hardly in the plan. It would have been even more effort than I've got right now. I've already got... Sorry. I've already got limited textures and things to work with because I'm trying to make a multiplayer route. If I wanted to go all out and make the most beautiful scenic route that I could, I would probably want to... Basically, you have to pick either crazy good scenery or multiplayer compatibility. And for me, it was multiplayer compatibility, hands down. Unfortunately, my multiplayer has not been stable since SB2 came out. That's not something new to SB2. That's just, I haven't tried multiplayer. I hadn't tried multiplayer that much beforehand, and so I had no idea how stable or unstable it was. And then SB2 came along and I decided to try it, and it just basically didn't work. I could get into a game, and then I could stay there for a little while until the host crashed. And this was true no matter what. Yeah, thank you, give me that. Lots of grassy areas over here. Not so many trees in this block. That's okay though. This looks like it was taken with tilt shift. Okay, so let's move this up a little bit because it was a little bit far away. And the next thing I said was power lines for this area. And then we'll do some of the beach blocks. So here's the power lines down here. This road has power lines. And what I said, this was going to be a beach block, right? Is there still going to be one? There's still going to be one row of houses before beach. So I'm not going to put power lines there. This area needs them. This area is all set. So they were already coming down this side. So we're going to string it to here. So as y'all know, Wybold's always been one for detail, and he was building his route. That was that's based on a dam, and it's, you know, Rio Grande and narrow gauge. And I'm not just saying it is Rio Grande narrow gauge, I'm saying it's the Rio Grande narrow gauge. And at this point he's working on the DNS. Or it was the last time I talked to him. He doesn't have a lot of free time either. Number one reason the Anniversary Chronicles doesn't get very far these days is because I don't have free time. Number two reason is because he doesn't have free time. It's sort of a vicious cycle where we would typically hand stuff off to one another, but now we're both screwed in terms of ability, you know, in terms of free time. And that just, you know, it makes making the series a pretty difficult endeavor. Pretty difficult is a damn understatement, I'll tell you. Hold shift. Don't connect to the fence, you idiot. So, yeah, that being said, he was making that, and he said something to me, and this was, you know, this was when I started Troll Brandon. I'm going all out with the detailing, as you guys know. And he is as well, because he's modeling real life. And he says something to the effect of, I've finally done it, I'm connecting power lines to individual houses. And I went, wow. And now that's not something that I decided not to do for the sake of effort. It's something I decided not to do because I don't think it looks good however you do it. But there are probably other ways to do it than the ones that I'm familiar with, and that is another step towards, you know, the crazy realism side of things. And like I said, it's the kind of thing that I could do if I wanted to put my mind to doing it. So I'm gonna swing this across the road here. Right on top of that pole. Right? Yeah, more or less. And I'm also going to connect them to here. And sometimes it does that as well, which is a little bit weird. So, like the next level of detail that I can do. So I've got the houses, the fences, the trees, the cars, the grass. You know, the next levels of detail down would be like, you know, people for one. People is not a particularly difficult thing to do. I just don't like to do it. And it's not because it's like, oh, you know, I think it's going to come out bad every time. It's like, I just don't like having people around. And don't take that the wrong way. Yes, I do hate people, but no, I don't take it the wrong way. That's a minor issue. Okay, let's split that. There. That's better. Looks a little bit weird, but it's better. And okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, I don't like having people around. I don't like having them in my scenes, so to speak, because I mean, yes, it does stem from partially that people in the game look weird, and there's pretty much no way around that. But the most important thing is that I just don't like it. You know, I don't like my scenes, my shots to be broken up by people in them. Out of all the desktop backgrounds I have, very, very few of them have people in them, or even humanoid figures in them. I think maybe, you know, there are a couple, but I think one is Chell, because it's a Portal, it was like a Portal 2 promo. And then, I don't know what another would be. Oh yeah, there's like one's a fantasy one, some airships and stuff, you've got people in it. Not like the Baconic Regime Space Navy airship thing that I have, but like balloons around a castle on a waterfall. If anybody knows that, it's like a generic-ish fantasy background. I built a castle in Minecraft based off of it once, on a place that my friends and I affectionately dubbed Ballsack Mountain. I still have a screenshot of that. I still have the castle, actually. And yeah, no, that was, and those, you know, like I said, those may be the only ones that have humanoid figures in them. You know, humans or human looking. So, I don't know what to say on that regard. You know, so humans aside, the next level of detail you can do is like fire hydrants, you know, what was I saying? Fire hydrants, mailboxes. What else? I don't know what else. I don't know what the next thing would be. I need to think even harder. Like yards with retaining walls, I guess would be a big one. I feel like that could be something. Because so many people I know have, you know, it's the dealing with houses that are on hills, or you know, not quite at the same level as the not quite at the same level as what they come from, or the road that they're on. Oh, I'm out of water. That's not great. I'm gonna slowly get like cottonmouth by the end of this episode. It's just gonna dry up. So anyways, that's that. Okay, we've hit an hour. Let's go talk about that comic. Let's go get that comic. Oop, that's iTunes. Okay, no, not that. That's a video. So, let me go to my channel real quick. This will be the only thing we look at because I don't want to fiddle with Chrome too much until we, before we run out of memory. Oh, this is episode 17. Damn it, I was close. Alright, last episode was episode 16. All of Commercial Industries, which for the record, they got deleted and I had to go back to the video and put them back in the thing. Alright, I have comments awaiting approval. Oh, okay, I see, because this one has a, doesn't have a thing. So sometimes the comments with links will automatically get sort of hidden and wait to, they'll wait for me to check on them. So Tristan's Trains asks, and this is the only comment, you talked in this episode on the B&M getting seized by Goford and the effect it had on them. So what's your thoughts on the future of the province of Worcester now that it's owned by Genesee? By the way, here's something in case you get tired of the train for a soundtrack. Not going to click on that because it's in the middle of the video, but that is something to talk about for sure. And oh boy, do I have strong feelings on this one. They're not all, they're not that strong. I go around and be like, oh, the Orange Flake. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like the Genesee in Wyoming. I don't like them at all. And Milky's gonna be over there in the corner like, yeah, but they painted a locomotive Southern Pacific. I don't care. Just one right doesn't fix all the other wrongs. They're bleeding certain railroads dry, and at the same time, they are, they are going out of their way to destroy the heritage of other railroads. Out of their way. And my example is extremely relevant here. The Providence and Worcester, I believe they were SD70s that they just purchased from the Florida East Coast. And right before the takeover, they had been repainted from Florida East Coast, finally, into Providence and Worcester paint scheme. Sorry, it took me a minute. I'm just over here crying. No. They got repainted in Providence and Worcester. And they looked awesome. I'm serious. I loved the way those units looked. And, especially because they were just crazy shiny and everything like that. It's they were very pleasing to the eye. Now, fast forward a little while. Fast forward to just now, as a matter of fact, they repainted them already. It hasn't been a year, I don't think. I might be wrong, but it hasn't been a year. And those things just got repainted, and they immediately got repainted again. Which is, A, incredibly silly, and B, stupid. And silly and stupid will sometimes go hand in hand, but you understand where I'm coming from, I hope. It's the kind of thing where, painting locomotives is expensive. And G&W apparently has the money to throw at these engines and make them look, make them look G&W, make them look orange, for whatever reason, other than because they feel like it. Is it because they feel like it? Is this boarded up? This is the one that it was boarded up, right? This is broken glass. I already used this one. This one looks like a beach house sort of thing. I'm not moving my mouse. That was a little bit strange. So, I don't like them. So to get that out of the way, I don't like them at all. I really like the Providence and Worcester scheme, and I am quite pleased by the fact that the two units that are based out of Valley Falls, Rhode Island, which are the ones that I see most often, are, I believe, the only two units the Providence and Worcester had that are rated for travel on the Northeast Corridor, or, rated to lead at least on the Northeast Corridor, which means they will not be sent to St. Albans, Vermont anytime soon. That is where the paint shed is. It means that they're going to last in Providence and Worcester just that much longer. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to highlight something very cool about... Okay, no, not that. That is not a house. We've already been through this. Okay, that's that one. These are some, like, beach house looking things. I would like to point out something very cool and interesting about the Providence and Worcester and its history. The P&W, when it was created by basically a coalition of mill and industry owners along the Blackstone River. And the Blackstone River is basically the only river in Rhode Island that can support a significant amount of water-powered textile operation, which was very important back in the day. As, any history buff in the audience would know. And so the railroad, which was, sort of the third link in the triangle, you had the Boston and Providence, the Boston and Worcester, and then the Providence and Worcester, making up this triangle of railroads. And so when that was all said and done with, they had a railroad, or they wanted to build a railroad that serviced their mills along the Blackstone River. They had made a canal, but the canal wasn't going to do it. Or they wanted a canal. I'm not sure if they actually made the canal. I think they made the canal. But the canal wasn't going to do it. The railroad was the way of the future. And so they decided, well, we need a railroad. And so they chartered the Providence and Worcester Railroad from Providence to Worcester along the Blackstone River. And the thing that was a quirk, or two quirks as a matter of fact, which saved it in the long run and were basically the reason it could come back after being crushed under the New Haven, subsequently the Penn Central, and subsequently Conrail. That trio in a row would have killed most any short line, or Class 2. But the Providence and Worcester was okay because in their charter it was stipulated that any profits more than 12% of annual revenue, I think it was 12 or maybe 16, had to immediately get sent back into the railroad. They would not be paid out to shareholders. So it was the idea of, if the railroad makes extra money, the extra money is going to go immediately back into fixing the railroad and improving the railroad, and not to whoever's controlling the railroad. And that probably saved them, that saved the life from being drained out of them underneath those three bankrupt companies. New Haven wasn't too bad at first, but we all know what happened to them. The Penn Central was a disaster through and through, especially after the New Haven joined it. And Conrail, while eventually becoming, the hero that railroading didn't deserve, but the hero that they needed right now, or something along those lines. I'm really up with the Batman references today, huh? I should rewatch that trilogy. They were, they weren't the hero that the railroads wanted, but they were the hero they needed right now. Maybe something like that. There's some permutation of that line that really fits Conrail. And so after all that, the Providence and Worcester managed to come back as its own independent entity, which was fantastic. Now, you get through that, and suddenly you reach a point where, the Providence and Worcester is doing pretty well for itself. It's running its trains, it's buying new locomotives, and then the Genesee and Wyoming comes over and kicks their sandcastle down. And but here's where it wraps around. The other thing is that if somebody tries to make a hostile takeover of the province of Worcester, there is basically an automatic clause in the charter that will jack up the stock price to the point where no one person will be able to afford all of it. And so, effectively creating a fail-safe against hostile takeovers. And it was like 150 years ahead of its time, because the theory behind that was put out in the 50s. Or even later, I think. The Railroads of Rhode Island book is very good for this kind of information. And in fact, I have it sitting over here, but I'm not going to go and reference it in the middle of making the show. So, the province of Worcester, I think, in the end is going to do okay if they ever get out from beneath the weight of the Genesee and Wyoming. Now, admittedly, I dislike the Genesee and Wyoming for what are basically purely aesthetic reasons. O'Gillies dislikes the Genesee and Wyoming for a much more legitimate reason. He's a fan of the Utah Railway, and G&W has basically been sapping all the heavy power away from G&W to put into use on the Kyle. And thus, they are having trouble completing their contracts, blah blah blah. There's a whole mess going on over there. I'm sure you could look it up, and as well, you could probably watch the podcast because he talked about it a bunch there. That should fill you in quite a bit. I can't recount it quite so well because it means a lot more to him than it does to me. He would be the person to get it from. Now, as well, so there's that. And like I said, I think the province of Worcester was in a fairly good place when the G&W took them over. They had been going strong for a number of years, had bought new power, were doing their contracts. Even though some places shut down, some places keep going, blah blah blah, they were doing okay. And there may, whatever there may have been, obviously the G&W saw something in them, or else they wouldn't have bought them in the first place. But, maybe there would have been something in the future that would have boosted them even further. Maybe there still is. So, there's that. I hope they don't sap away everything important, but the fact that they repainted, the fact that the SD70s got repainted right away, hey, what happened? How come this didn't go to the next one? Oh, you know what? I didn't hit, like, go. Yeah, let's start from here. Okay. Start back from the beginning. Last time I remembered to put it on repeat, this time I did not. So, this way. So most of this is going to be sand. So, the G&W came in, turned the province of Worcester into another G&W, and I realized they're New Havening. And I don't mean New Havening in the bad way, where they're sapping all the money out of something. I mean they're New Havening in the slow and painful sort of way, where they slowly buy up all of the short lines and regional railroads near their target area. And this happened with the New Haven, which is why I'm referring to it as New Havening. The New Haven eventually owned... So, okay, here's a backdate real quick. The second Providence Union Station, the first one after the double terminal, the yellow brick station that still stands to this day, was built while Providence was entered by 7 individual and distinct railroads. By the time the station was a couple decades old, there was only one railroad coming into Providence, and that was the New Haven. The New Haven had successfully purchased all 6 other railroads. And that's why I say New Havening. That's what I mean. I mean, they're slowly purchasing all of the railroads in the area. And, you know, it is what they're doing. If you look at the way it connects to the New England Central, that's what sort of made it very readily apparent to me. It's like, oh boy, they're just trying to create a little network that's independent of CSX's network, or CSX's main line, and the Pan Am Southern main line that runs through the northern part of Massachusetts. I don't know, they're going places. Admittedly, I want to see what G&W does. They are, you know, they're an oversized short line to some extent. You know, that's really what they are, because they're just a bunch of Class 2s knitted together. And most of them aren't knitted together, most of them are quite some distance apart from one another. So I don't know how much you want to stretch that metaphor, but that's my 2 cents in the matter. You know, I could rant about how much I dislike G&W. I'm sure you guys got that at this point. But, you know, I'm fascinated by the Providence of Worcester, and I've read my share about them, and based on what I've read, by all rights, they should be fine in the long run. It's just in the short run they might suffer due to this takeover. And if they do, I wouldn't be surprised, and if they don't, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Well, no, I won't be surprised per se, because I'm going to be honest here, they're the Providence of Worcester. I'm not sure there's too much you can do. They don't need that much in terms of specialized equipment in order to get the job done. And New England short lines have always been particularly hardy. You had railroads around here that were, you know, less than a mile long that lasted 70 years or something like that under their own corporate identity. That's just me throwing numbers out, but the Warwick Railroad was, or the Warwick Railway was, in fact, less than a mile long. And a lot of railroads in Rhode Island, the short lines did survive on their own for a good amount of time. So, there's hope for it yet. No, I'm not gonna panic. I was unhappy, but no panic. It is something that, you know, it is something to say that I hope anyone who wants to see a Providence and Worcester unit will get to see one for a long time. And again, with those Northeast Corridor units, that's probably possible. But you should get over here just in case. So, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I look at and think about, and then don't really have, you know, aside from general dislike of the Genesee and Wyoming, I don't really have any strong feelings one way or the other on the takeover, because I don't think it's going to be a particularly bad thing for the company. I'm not sure if it's going to be a good thing, but I know it's not like a death knell. The G&W has proven to be competent, and in that sense they are just as good as, you know, E. Hunter Harrison is, perhaps. You know, which makes them, in an area, not a bad thing from an objective standpoint. But just like Hunter Harrison, it sometimes comes at a cost, and I don't mean the several million that CSX is going to pay him to make up for him leaving CP early. Either way, you know, as much as anything, Providence and Worcester is my home road. You know, in a more literal sense than some other railroads that I call my home road, like the Pennsylvania, or even the New Haven, because I was never alive for the New Haven or the Pennsylvania, and I don't really feel that much of an attachment to CSX. I wonder why. Even though I do, and I get like, oh, don't be so mean to CSX when everybody's all crash, smash, explode. I can totally see it, though. They do it all the time. Maybe better now that Harrison's on board, but that first day with him was a little bit rough. That breaking in period crashed, what, like 3 times in 48 hours? But the best thing, perhaps, heritage-wise, for the province of Worcester being taken over may have to do with those SDs. And it's the fact that as much as G&W likes to, sort of, and I do use this word here, as much as they like to standardize, they do leave the little personal, railroad names on the side of the engine hidden in the logo. So all of those engines that have come from the province of Worcester have PW on the side, because P&W was already taken, and a little map of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And that, I think, is awesome. That's my favorite part about it by far, because it means, A, exposure for the biggest state of the Union, and B, just having those sort of things out in the wild. I think it would be even more amazing if they hadn't changed the paint scheme and just moved the engines around. However, maybe patch them, maybe not. But I would have been pleased to see, a Providence and Worcester engine roaming the salt flats or something like that, Just having one in that paint scheme get out there, because I love the P&W paint scheme. Even better if you look up old style paint schemes of the Province of Worcester. Right when they came back, they had some RS3s, which I believe were XD and H. And though the paint scheme on those they called Creamsicle, and I think it's adorable, but I mean, it's nothing really to write home about. It's just kind of cutesy. It's white and orange and brown in like successive layers. I don't know. It's cool. I wish they still did that. Hell, I wish they had an RS3, but they do actually have. I'm not sure if it's still going to exist under G&W, but they have like a dinky. They have I think locomotive 150. Which is an incredibly small engine that is probably a Plymouth. That I think they keep up by the offices of Worcester. Nope, let's not do that. The question now is, how do I make dunes? And also, what should I use for beach grass? Like this? Actually, that's not half bad. As long as I use it sparingly, it won't look too bad. So let's spread these buildings out more. This is the kind of thing where, like, I've never done this before. So this is the kind of thing now that I'm going to have to start thinking through and start figuring out on my own, and this is going to be the deliberation portion of the show. Which is why I'm so glad we have music, because I don't know what I'll be able to do. Or, what I'll be able to say, how I'll be able to think. I've been pretty spotty with that all day anyways, just, based on my coherence in the Province of Worcester thought process. But, ideally, just like the charter said, the G&W will not be able to milk a huge amount of money out of that line they just got. Undue amounts of money. I'm not saying they shouldn't turn a good profit on it, because they absolutely should. But they won't be able to suck it dry you know, bleed it for all it's worth, and all that. It's the kind of thing where, you know, it's made it along this far, and the merger is supposed to save them a good amount of money. Just overall, with management styles and equipment and stuff like that. Connections probably as well. And that's a good thing. But with all the money that will be coming out of that, I think, and this is as far as I understand, that the charter will prohibit the GNW from taking all of that profit, you know, and just doing whatever they want with it. It'll have to go right back into the province of Worcester. And of course, I may be misunderstanding how the charters work, but, you know, railroad charters in general just seem like such an archaic system to me, and it almost boggles the mind, to me at least, how they have any relevance in the current day, but yet they do. So, you know, it's just like, well, I'll accept that, and base my hopes and fears and thoughts off of it. Like I said, I'm intrigued to see where the GNW goes / can go, not only with the province of Worcester, but just with their railroading in a whole. They have, or as a whole, they have access to so many places. In fact, they're multinational, but they have access to so many places that aren't directly connected. And so it's the question of, you know, what will they do, and what is their modus operandi? I don't, you know, unfortunately, I don't know too much about them, other than I didn't really know much about them until they just showed up at one point and took my damn railroad. So that's, it's what I'm basing my whole operational opinion of the GNW off of, is the things that I see them do around here. Because I don't, other than what other people in the group tell me, I don't keep track of all of the goings-on with that railroad. But, just like anything else, they just keep getting... Since they keep getting bigger, they can't be doing that badly. You'd hope, right? So, there is talk, and I mean just talk. This isn't secret insider info. This is, rumors that foamers pass around about CSX wanting to, especially under Harrison, wanting to get rid of the Boston and Albany division lock, stock, and barrel. And if that were to happen, I could 100% see G&W trying to jump in there and snatch it up. Because then you would get a connection between two of their railroads. And you would get a fairly major corridor with a not insignificant amount of traffic for a Class 2 to manage. Right now, I think traffic over the B&A is fairly low for CSX. And in fact, that's why it was more efficient to convert Selkirk Hump into basically full flat switching operations, because there are only, because points east are no longer the most major of destinations. It's when you have a classification yard that only actually has to send trains primarily in two major directions, having it as a hump yard is less than efficient. Again, that's just my understanding. I might be wrong. Take the things that I say with a grain of salt. And I could talk about things railroading for hours, and of course I do, that's why I'm here. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know that much about railroads. I don't even know that much about the stuff near me. I just sort of go on with what I know and extrapolate the rest to an extent. And as well, this is an even more important thing for me to say. I feel like I'm sort of like a jack of all trades when it comes to railroad knowledge, and emphasis on the master of none part. Because I don't feel like there's one specific field in which I know tons about. Even Rhode Island railroads, I'm missing huge portions of knowledge, and I have to reference my book all the time. Or the online sites all the time in order to gain information, to use in discussions and stuff like that. You know what? I think I'm gonna make these. Oh well, these are objects, not thingies. So what I'll do is I'll cut the sidewalks off at some point. I wish this didn't have sidewalk. Let me see. Let me grab one of these. Oops. Nope. Let me grab this and then scroll up 2. Oh, come on. Place me down to spline point right there. There. And then another one over here. Actually, one right there. Now I want one of the one-sided ones. It's gonna be on the right, so pull it this way. Yeah, so we're gonna limit the amount of sidewalk down here, and I feel like that is appropriate. So, opening's gonna be on the right. There we go. There we go. On the beach. I need another one here, so. On the right. There we go. Alright, there. So we've got some intermittent sidewalks and we've got a beach tile. Done. I'm not sure how much detail I'm going to do along the beach itself, but let's add some more of these dune-looking areas here. Not right there, not on top of the road. Yeah, dunes can be kind of chunky. Like, you know, tall and in your way when you're trying to walk the beach. And covered in this thick, thick grass that you don't want to walk through. For reasons. Reasons like ticks. But we've officially made it to the shore. We're gonna have some gravel paths and stuff, some gravel driveways. I wish I had like a, what is this? That is good. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how properly straight we can make this road. Yeah, like that-ish. Not the best, but it'll do. See, I like this. It's not quite gravel, but it's not quite dirt either. And in fact, it's almost got some minor green in it, which is nice. Sort of adds what we need. Although, let's, I don't think I'm going to put houses facing this way. I might put a row of houses on here, although we need to finish this row. We've got 20 minutes to do that. Right across from the Sandlot, too. It's like, guys, there's a beach right there. You gotta make this here? Oh, we've got to finish all this area before then. Alright, let's get cracking. Get one of these. Put it right on the road here. And then let's surround this area in a fence. Hopefully this doesn't come out to be like shoddy workmanship, because I want it to be done. I don't want it to be done badly. I sort of got carried away with the whole beach thing and forgot to finish these blocks that I started working on. So I was about to start stringing power lines towards the beach, just to see what it looked like. To see if that added something else. It's funny, down at the beach house where I go, one of the almost signature features is this network of power lines that are strung over the whole town, and that look kind of interesting because all the telephone poles are taller than all the houses. So it just sort of, hovers over. And should I put some spline along here? Probably, but I don't know where the little bitty spline is. Put two of these maple trees back here, and then like a red oak. We have one? There's one. Right out front, on the road. It might just be that I adjust to the frame rate, but Tane seems to be getting along fairly well now. Still doesn't like Tolbrin. And I'm sure it'll like it even less the farther we get along. Although, if I go out somewhere like out to the thing. What do you call it? Out to the forestry, where there isn't much around, I'll get much better frames. So it's not like a size of map issue, it's just a things are way too complicated in here issue. Which, I doubt that surprises anybody. If it does, you probably get surprised easily. But the map is not that big. The map is far too detailed in small spaces, and to the point where, and the map is small to the point where if you're near any of the detail, you're near all the detail. And that is a sort of interesting problem to have. But then again, I wager most people don't go all out like this. Most people don't make maps of this, with this much detail in them, and good lord do I not blame them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that, oh, look at these scrubs don't make maps with this much detail. If any of you thought I was saying that, which I doubt you were. Just want to clarify. Not what I'm saying. My fondest memories, even though sometimes a little bit hesitant to love them so much, are of those maps that were, obviously not so great. It's like, I was looking for the original sketches of Tolbrin, the TBNRR the other day, because it was like that map had promise. ridiculous. That map, you know, it was a well laid out railroad, it was a well laid out network, but it was an inexperienced design, which, yeah, no doubt that happens to everybody, and B, the way I went about building it was a little bit outlandish, yeah. And obviously, the things that were built within it have problems of their own. Whoops, I was holding shift. But for the most part, it was a solid route, at least. It was a solid route plan. Okay, so that cost us 5 minutes so far. No, I don't want a red oak, I want another one. Let's get a sycamore tree. Sycamore. Yeah, there we go. Sycaless. I'm sure most of you saw that one coming up. Yeah. I'm predictable enough. Okay, so sugar maples by the dozen. Pour some sugar on me. I'm not gonna try to do the whole voice and stuff for that one. Sourwood. Oh yeah, the sourwood trees are nice as well. Forgot about these guys. They look like they look fake though. That's my one critique about the sourwood trees. Obviously everything looks sort of fake, we're in a video game. But the those in particular look fake. We've got one lonely beach chair. Oh, this is gonna look so awesome. I just want to put that out there. It's gonna look really, really awesome. I'm incredibly happy with how that block came out. Like, more happy than I thought I could be. It's just, it all fell into place. I started working that block right there. I was like, well, this is gonna come out. You know, it went through my head. It went through my head that was not going to be something to write home about, but oh yeah, it is. It's awesome. I should take a screenshot from there, but I can't because there's too much on either side that isn't done yet. It'd be awfully tough to get a screenshot looking this way without catching something else, although this works. Once I get some more stuff over here, and especially over here, which I'm going to do right now, then it should look better. Let me get the side road again. The one side road. Here. And I'm not going to get rid of spline point right at that thing. Open side is going to be on the right, so pull it towards me. And then let me get that dirt-ish texture. Or should I just get gravel for this one? Oh, I already have the dirt-ish texture. Yeah, I'll just get gravel for this one. We're too far inland to not. Although I feel like I want a darker gravel. That didn't really change much, did it? I want a parking lot for these two buildings. Not the house, obviously, but these two. And I think I can, well, let me put that one tile of texture back there. Get rid of that. Nah, that looks better. And now I will use the dirt-ish texture. Make sure that we can actually use it real quick. I just looked in the bottom corner to check the QID. It's funny how my eyes are focused on this side of the screen and not looking over here where the QID number is arguably one of the most important things for us to be looking at. Because if we screw that up, then we have to figure out what QID it is and change it before uploading. Which, that isn't too hard. But just like retracing my steps, it sucks to redo what you've already done. I'm sure most people know that. People that don't know that, you should get into a kind of like super mundane job field where, you know, you can do the same thing day in and day out, where it would drive most people slowly insane, but you can do it. That's how you make the big bucks. People that don't find it boring doing the same thing over and over again. We typically call those people with, I was about to say people with an attention span, but I'm not sure how well that fits. Admittedly, I could do the same thing over and over again if I had music in my ears, which is exactly what I've got and what I'm doing, sort of, to an extent. Let's get the tree off the road. Okay. This looks so good. We need more room back here. We need a set of dunes. And then we need a road that's probably just going to be made out of texture. And then we need like a row of beach houses. And then another set of dunes and then the ocean. And then the beach and then the ocean. We've got 10 minutes to take care of the scenery around here. And now I'm deliberating what to do. Oh my god. I say we've got 10 minutes to take care of the scenery, and then I just stop and stare at it. No. Take cues from this song. Move quickly. Do-do-do-do. Cheap and dirty. Quick and dirty. And for a quickie. Nope, wrong one. Undo. I need to place it in the other direction in order to conform with the edge. These are the kind of houses where you're not going to want a fence, but these guys have one anyways. I don't think it's worth having the redwood fence, so I'm going to go with a regular picket fence like this guy. Whoops. Mostly it's going to be right up against the side of the house because of the parking lot that's right there. Maybe the plot of land is slightly skewed as well. That's just the excuse for making a fence, let's be honest. And I'll leave that gate there. Because, you know, beach. I need the smaller spline right there. Oh boy, we're not gonna make it. We're gonna run out of time. Oh no! What a pressure. Doom-ditter-doo-doo. Alright, I already put a red oak there. I want some of the little guys. I guess we'll do mountain maples in the middle here. The little mountain maples. Or the big ones. These guys are big, right? Nope, those are also little. They've just got they've got a crick in the neck. Let's see. Let's throw a live oak in the back. Oh, that's a tiny, tiny one. Small, teeny, meeny, weeny. I did the wrong thing. Hey. Undo. Hey! Undo. There. Alright, there we go. We got that in the back. Tree house in all caps. Hemlock. Can we get a hemlock tree? It looks kind of out of place, unfortunately. I would have liked to have those around, and now it's too late. We'd have to sort of distribute them more evenly. I'll put another one of these along the side here. Basically, we're coming to the point where it's like, yeah, screw it, throw some trees around. I don't care what it is, just put it there. Let's get this thing out of the parking lot. That worked. Better than I thought it would for clicking the wrong button. Shingle oak, right in the middle. Now there's two of them. It's not a shingle oak anymore. Somebody should make a joke using that and post it to subreddit. Those guys would love it. Nope, and there's another one. Alright, so hash this sucker up. You know, just slip something in here. These guys are much more lax about mowing their lawn because they're on the beach. You know? Who has time to mow your lawn when you're on the beach? Not this guy, that's for sure. I think we might just have to leave this unfinished. I don't want to rush through this, honestly. It's a little bit, you know. It can come out good, but now at this point I'm just throwing trees down with no consideration for like, oh, this would look good here, this would look good here. I don't like it. It hurts to do. I probably should get good at that if I'm ever going to do a route build competition, but honestly, I don't generally do those, I just judge them. And on top of that, I don't really feel like doing a route build competition. I don't want to like lament the throwing down of trees and stuff like that when I could have just, you know, taken part of another episode and taken my time and gotten things where they belong. But what I should do is at least... So there's like the main street there. What I should do is I should put texture in this area. And, because we've got a couple minutes left. We've got a whopping 2 minutes left. Oops, wrong button. We've got plenty of RAM as well. Fill this area with sand texture. And then make some dune texture. And then what did I say? I said a row, so like a row of the normal stuff, you know, grass and trees, then some dunes, then a row of beach houses, then some more dunes at the beach. I'm not sure we'll be able to fit all of that in, but we can sure as hell try. Although, we can just slip the road in here, put some dunes in the back, and what I'll do for the road is I'll just grab the texture. That one. Nope, not that one. That one. Oh, a little bit more, a little bit more. Oh, I didn't spin it. How much better does that look, huh? Okay, so actually I need to sort of finish that out a little bit so it looks more like a road. Put that there. And then what I should do, actually, I should sort of do things the other way around. I should grab the texture. I should make some, you know, sort of drawings in here. Which, you know, sort of look dune-ish in size and shape. And then raise these areas of land instead of trying to stare at the sand to figure out what areas got raised when I moved the mouse around. But I'm still going to do that because it pays to keep an eye on what the hell you're doing, is really what I mean. Yeah, so there might not be a row of beach houses, like a second row of beach houses, but at least we've got these. I did earlier in the episode find some places that could be, find some buildings, sorry, that could be aspiring beach houses, but I'll have to remember what they are next episode. So we're almost done here. I'm just gonna lay down this grass and call it a day. This is, you know, this is like the reason that I come home the time I do from work on Thursdays. Because, you know, it's 2 hours every week. It's not something that I can either put off and throw together another time, or even do in advance most times. It's something that has to be done on the spot. Especially because of the comments thing. You know, to make it pre-recorded would avoid people the opportunity to leave their feedback. But really, it's just, you know, this is my... Usually I just have the one opportunity during the week to make this, and I have to make that opportunity for something. You know, I probably could have stayed in work later today and done work. I'm an intern. I didn't get a paid holiday on the 4th, so I've been scrambling to get 40 hours of work in a 4-day week, which is, you know, do some quick head math there. That's 10 hours a day, and today I only worked 9 hours, so I'm already behind. Tomorrow, you know, the last 2 days I worked 10, tomorrow I've got to work 11 to make up. And my coworkers all think it's bogus that I don't get paid holidays, but hey, you know, take that up with corporate, right? I'm not worried about it. I'm an intern. I don't get paid enough to worry about it. Alright, so I do want more right here before... Again, I'm sort of extending this episode because I just wanna get this done. I wanna get this section done so that I can take a screenshot of it and be happy with myself. Also, the other thing about dunes, you know, these are sort of New England dunes, not like... Yeah, these are New England dunes, not like Sahara dunes. You know, you've got grass and all that stuff. Alright, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Trademan out. No, 2 weeks. Trademan out.